hope you are tuned in to Safe Space Talks Mind Mastery every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Take a half an hour away from being glued to the glass and get your mind right.
Greetings. Welcome to Safe Space Talks Mind Mastery one more time and again. And I'm your good girlfriend, your friend, Nigeria Anderson. I'm your host today. And we are here sharing building blocks, tools, language to help us keep our mind right. Why? Because they are after our minds. I keep saying that. I just want to keep mentioning it so that when it hits the news, you can say, my good friend Nigeria Anderson was telling me about this. So we are familiar with the advertising game, the fear mongering, and mainstream media feeding us whatever narrative they feel is the narrative they want us to know. And we thank God for YouTube and social media for allowing us to have a voice. But I keep telling you, soon and soon, very soon, they'll change that because people are woke. And we know our administration is very fearful of the woke folk. Okay, so it's up to us to think for ourselves, to have our own thoughts. Okay, think through information and have enough information. Every time people come to me and they're like, "Oh, I'm upset," oh no 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 no, I'll be like, "Okay, so why?" First level question, right? And they're like, "Oh, because blah 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 blah." Second level question: what role did you play in it? Well, no, right? Third level question. Well, how do you know it's true? Yeah. See, this is why I always say we have to ask second and third level questions. Someone asked me to give an example. Bam, there you go. That was an example. So we have to think things through, have enough information to make better decisions for our lives. Our lives are on the line, and we're going to have to live right, do right, be right in order to maintain a quality lifestyle. And we have enough going on in our daily days not to be distracted or thrown off by influencers, celebrity grabs, drama, and lies. And what I mean by celebrity grabs is like celebrities who advertise things to us that our community has fought for years, and yet because of a paycheck, they don't know how to say, no, I refuse to do that. Okay, so therefore, I'm helping to bring truth, not lies, to help those who watch bring a bit of harmony to how you should move forward. We are in days of confusion, war literally and spiritually. And just FYI, my Father, my good Father in heaven, my Father God of heaven and earth, who sent his only begotten Son, Jesus Christ, for my life, is not a God of confusion. There is a remnant in the land, and it is our time to shine. So, thank you for logging on and joining the conversation. If you knew, well, you just got a nice little chunk of who I am and my personality. And if you know, listen, I'm very nervous being on here. I don't like it, but it's an assignment, and so you got me. Otherwise, if we didn't have Christ, boy, I don't even know how we would make it through another second. So let's dive in. Today's topic is grief and aging. Many do not like to talk about it, but we are going to die. Death is inevitable. And I'm aware of this very truth. I had to bury my mother in my 20s. She passed in her late 30s, so I didn't even get the aging process with my mom. That was just, boop. And it was a shock because we want our parents to grow old. Uh, I've gone through the hurt of losing loved ones over the years. It doesn't get any better. But I've gotten better with understanding we dying, we gonna leave here. So, and I must admit, I'm still learning how to grieve well. Because if you know me and you've had a death, I always say, well, grieve well. And what I mean is, like, listen, hey, no one can tell you how to grieve and what to do. Like, just get through. It is a process, just like trauma. It's trauma, it may be. And so you have to go through the process, have grace with yourself, go through the motions. Just don't get stuck there. When you don't believe or have knowledge of death, that's what really makes it hard, because you want to believe whatever you want to believe, things that were taught and caught. But you're going to have an understanding of death. And I have to give kudos to my dad for always, just when I leave here, I need you. And when I leave here, and at first, initially, I used to be like, oh my God, oh, daddy, ah. But then I learned, he was teaching me, like, listen, one day I'm going to leave here. My mama gone, like, listen, you wasn't prepared for that. I guess he like, listen, be prepared. So, kudos. Not a good topic, but I'm tired in 2026 of people saying Black people don't do. No. In 2026, Black people are doing. Like I said in my last video, Black people are going to therapy. Black people are preparing their loved ones. Not all Black people are doing GoFundMes. I'm going to help us all out. So that is something, we have to talk about, so that we can understand there is a process. And, the comforter who Jesus sent will comfort us, if we are believers. If you're not a believer, I'm not talking to you. But be hopeful and, hold on, okay? Because when you don't believe and have knowledge of death, it can be exhausting, depressing, and completely knock you off your feet. For the most part, when you say grief, many associate it with death and dying. What's the meaning of grief? Grief is the intense emotional, physical, and cognitive response to the loss of someone or something significant, often characterized by sorrow and anger of despair. So today I want to talk about grief, but grief associated with the loss of someone aging. Doesn't mean they, we know they're gonna die, but it don't mean immediately. But someone aging. And many people don't associate grief with their parents or their grandparent, whoever they're with, or their loved one aging out. Not in the form of death, but maybe due to a medical situation. So there's a grieving process that comes way before the individual transitions to, transition and death, or even people who are dealing with a divorce, they grieve. There's one form of grief many are dealing with and nobody warned us about, and that's why I want to talk about it, and that is just taking care of your parents, or a loved one, or a spouse. Grief is one of those misdiagnoses, I believe, and that's because most people operate in denial. They'll, by claiming, oh no, I'm okay. No, it's all right. No, I'm getting through, girl. No, all of that. No, no, no. I'm good. I'm good. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're in denial. Okay. So it's okay to express your hurt and anger with peers or a confidant or a good friend, or I keep telling y'all, get around people who know the Lord, but y'all don't be listening. But anyway, listen, when my mom passed, I had a good friend to walk me through that very tough process. I love her to life. She could get anything from me. Like, that was I was in such a dark place. And to have someone like handle you, not mishandle you, but handle you to get you back on track, that's a gift. That, God bless. That's a gift. I swear, anybody who's a caretaker, that's a call. That's a gift. You have a gift. Okay. Um, and she just loved on me and helped me and was able to help me because she understood my pain. Anybody who had a significant loss, it may not be the same. She didn't lose her mama, but she lost a very good friend. So it's a similar situation, different circumstances, but the pain and understanding that this person is really, really hurting and being able to strengthen them, because what does the Bible say? Once you've been strengthened, go back and strengthen your brethren, right? He who is spiritual, restore such a one, right? Y'all know. Y'all already know. I speak my opinion, English, and my Bible, so there you have it. But I can't express enough why having people in your corner is so important. You cannot do life alone. For single people, that's why we have our good friends, family. This is why even the Lord said a friend can be closer to a brother, because you cannot do life alone. Why? Because we need each other. This is why I advocate that we not dismiss people for their poor behavior, call them out politely, help them, and find out, because it could be a mental illness. We just keep letting people just do stuff, and then it's like, well, I ain't talking to them no more, and they was acting like this, and they did me like that. Have the conversation. That's why I say here at Safe Space Talks My Mastery. Sit down. Let's talk about this. But I understand that some people aren't confrontational, but I did a video on confrontational. Go watch it, because at times you got to be confrontational. And sometimes, no, you can't. You shouldn't be confrontational. But we have to have these conversations. All right. So that's a key point. Like, if you're in a domestic violence situation and he was beating you up and tried to kill you, no, you don't have to be his friend no more ever again. You could leave him or her or whatever. Just leave that person alone. I can't say what I was gonna say. So glad I've been catching myself, because something wrong with them. So you must remove yourself from the situation immediately, quickly as possible. But don't block having a potential good relationship because you haven't healed and you have okay. So you have a stainless steel refrigerator and they have a white one, so you don't want to be their friend. Now that's a private joke for some of the people that's watching here. I've been having conversations with some of my peers, and many are dealing with aging parents with various diagnoses. And let's be clear, a diagnosis is not a death sentence. Many people have survived cancer diagnosis, heart trouble, had double heart bypasses and all kinds of stuff, and they still here and have moved forward to continue to be with their family and live beautiful lives. Please hear me. A diagnosis in someone aging does not immediately mean a death sentence, and they're out. This is it. Okay. The grappling with a parent who you have watched all your life be strong, provide for you, stand up for you, took care of you, wiped your butt, guided you when you were in trouble, gave you good advice or bad advice when you needed it. Now they can't remember you. They can't drive their car, and they're struggling with simple tasks like walking, eating, and going to the bathroom. Now that hurt me, because when I came home from the hospital, I had them same task. Wasn't able to walk, couldn't feed myself, couldn't go to the bathroom myself. That is very, very, very challenging. And this can cause grief, and you don't know. You're grieving the loss of your mobility. You know, child, that was a moment. Ah. Okay, so yeah, you're dealing with grief and the decline of your mobility. And the caretaker or caretakers and the loving family members as well are grieving. Okay, it's not easy. This is not easy. Their onset can come gradually, or it can just be all of a sudden. But because the news is so unexpected, grief sets in due to watching the decline and seeing that individual lose their normal activity. It is not comforting, pleasing. I don't even have no words. And I have experienced it all. I have been a caretaker, and then I've had to have someone be a caretaker for me. So I'm purely talking from experience. Now, my grandmother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and I remember I just didn't understand, like, what y'all talking about. But there has been so much more research, medication, and people who are able to live their day-to-day life with assistance. And so thank you to those people who are helping us to spend more time with our loved ones. I appreciate you. I always like to give little shout outs that I appreciate you, especially if you're watching. And I have a lot of doctors who watch, so shout out, and I love you and thank you. Thank you. Every loss might cause an emotional distress because everybody's different. Some people, they get acceptance, boom, bam, bam, they can move, boom, 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 got this. Kudos to y'all. I think my sister is like that. Me, I'm like, oh Lord, what? So, and after my mother, I've been like, what was that, in the 90s? We in 2026. I think I'm still in recovery. And then I'm still in recovery after 2011. Like, I'm just, y'all, I done got jacked up, but I'm better. That's why I sit here to share, because it's personal to me. And I know these feelings are real, and I want you to know it's okay. Your feelings, they are okay. Just don't get stuck there, because you're dealing with a person dealing with their own decline. They become confused, frustrated, angry, then and then they fussing and cussing you out, but they're not angry at you, right? So then people get emotional and, why are you yelling at me, and blah, blah, blah. They're yelling because they're confused, they're frustrated and angry. And it's not personal when they're yelling at the caretaker. It's just that they don't have a clue why this is happening to me. Okay? So, caretakers, we love you, but know that it's not personal. Okay? For a person who may, example, lose their sight, they lost a limb, a pet, a precious gift, or a loved one, there will be grief. And there's stages of grief. There's denial, anger, sadness, and acceptance. There's probably some more. That's what I'm telling you today. Acceptance is is hard. Okay, when it's someone you love, acceptance is hard. I'm just gonna tell you that. And so I'm not going to just be on here like, just get acceptance, just deal with it. I'm not that person. Like I said, there are people out there. If you that person, get acceptance, can just rock and roll with the punches, put a heart or a wavy hand and say, that's me, because I might, need to holler at you. So like I was saying, when I was informed that my grandma had Alzheimer's, when I went to see her, she kept repeating herself, right? And I was full of denial. I was like, Grandma, stop asking me that. You asked me that already. And my grandpa, cool dude, he was like, don't talk to your grandma like that. I thought he was going to jump across the table, choke me out, because he loved his wife. And both of them now have gone to glory, and I miss them both dearly. I don't have no grandparents. Grandparents are the best. All right, so anyway, it hit me. Yo, this is real. My spunky grandma who quick with it, jokes. Now, what is this decline? I don't know what's happening, right? But my sister, boom, bam. She boom, boom, boom. Oh, my grandma need my help. I'm like, grandma, right? So each family member is going to have their own response, and you're going to have to deal with it. We got to deal with it, but all hands should be on deck. I'm just saying, whatever you can do, do. This is not a joke. This is like so serious to me. It touches me deeply, and the people you don't talk to, you need to now talk to them. The people, just, hey, listen, I know I haven't spoken to you in a while. However, I'm finding myself in a pickle. I'm old school. A situation. And I just need a little help. Do you have time to talk? Right? Now, the person on the other end, don't be like, you ain't calling me, now you calling me. No. What you say is, how can I help? How can I help? All right, so how to begin the process of grief and healing. When it's time, you're in your grief, you got the news, you jacked up, now, all right, we got to move to acceptance. We got to move to, making sure the individual that we are now caring for has their needs met. So how you do that? It involves acknowledging your feelings, right? I said you can cry. It's okay to be upset. Have your fallout. And, do what you have to do. All right. There's nothing scarier than getting a call that your loved one left the house, and now we have to search and find where they went. These things, oh my goodness. So everybody, like I said, all hands on deck, because support is key. Then you have to seek outside support for you, for your mental well-being and your physical well-being, because it can be draining mentally and physically. You're going to need a whole new program of life. You're going to have an exercise routine to alleviate the stress, because caretaking is very stressful, and you're going to have to create a meal prep so that you can eat a well-balanced diet, so you don't ignore your health, helping someone else with their health, right? Because what you'll do is you'll start stressing out and neglecting yourself. So caretaker rule number 1, not only do you take care of the individual, but you must prioritize. We believe in the airplane mode. Put the oxygen over your face first and then help others. So you must take care of yourself. You have to add self-care practices that promote your emotional well-being, because you're going to need that. Many don't realize they're grieving, but a few signs might be behavior changes, because we say here, when you change, you know when you off, right? Grief can show up in many ways. It kind of reminds me of stress, right? Because stress is what they call the silent killer, right? Grief is, to me, the same thing. It kind of, personally, it has hit me in the shower. It has hit me driving, and I'm brawling, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, I gotta pull over. So it just sneaks up on you. Many don't recognize it as grief or that they're grieving. And as an adult who, you done moved out your parents' house and you live in your own life, maybe have your own family, and then you get that call. Now there's a disruption in your life. Disruption. Who did you marry? Because when disruption come, you about to figure out who you married to, because tough times start, showing you who you've been with all these years. Yep, disruption. So this is why I sit here to help people examine themselves, to seek healing from trauma and drama. We are honest over here. Safe Space Talks Mind Mastery is a safe space. So we got it good over here. We got it good over here. And we desire for people to begin to address serious matters and stop ignoring it. We just not in that group. We're all black and black people. We not part of that group. We are part of the healed people. Healed people. Not hurt people, hurt people. We know that. But we over here, we're the healed people. Heal people. Right? So when you over here, this is just basically what we want you to do. We want you to be healed. We want you to be made whole. Now that part, is the spiritual aspect. And we want you to have as much wisdom and knowledge for you to have the ability to problem solve by thinking things through. We have a brilliant mind, and like I said, they are after it. But anyway, we gonna get our mind right. So not everyone goes through this, but not everyone goes through grief the same. And we know that there's an uptick need for caretakers and the aging population, to the point where now you can get paid for taking care of your loved ones. That wasn't true. People was losing their job because they had to keep running to the hospital and making appointments. And now all these things been put in place, and we thank God for that, because when you hear that your parent or loved one needs guardianship, those are some hard words that cut, and that news can be devastating, and many people are not talking about it, which may mean many people are not prepared. They're not prepared for it. And I can't tell you how to get prepared for it, but I might have some hints. So now that you have these, you now have these insurance commercials for burial. Oh, I'm so glad mom took out that insurance to help pay for the burial. Yeah, your mom, all those great commercials, because many have not set up a will or a trust or have burial insurance. So, or even know how to do research, like go to healthcare.gov and Google. You don't want to Google, but you could Google and go to healthcare.gov. And there's just so many systems in place now, today in 2026. Wasn't so much so before, but now. And again, thank you. When you are going through and you don't have resources, that's bad. And when I was going through with my mom, I didn't have the resources that many have today. So it was rough. And when you receive this news about guardianship, or your parent needs, or loved one, spouse, or whatever needs to be taken care of, there's something called anticipatory grief. And anticipatory grief refers to a feeling of grief occurring before the impending loss, meaning, like I said earlier, a diagnosis is not a death sentence, but for many, they take it as such. Typically when someone's like, you have such and such, that experience, especially cancer, it's like you say that and people just feel like, oh my God, you're gonna die. And then there's non-death related losses like a pending divorce. I mentioned that earlier. Now, let me just tell you and confirm that a diagnosis is not a death sentence. I had a friend who was diagnosed with cancer, and they were told they had 3 months to live. They took it in good spirits, older person, feeling like, well, I done lived my life. And they began traveling around the world. They fulfilled their bucket list. They spent all their savings, and they was out living their best life and enjoying time with family. And 3 months came and went. They lived like an additional 10 years without cancer symptoms. And when they passed, they passed. But like, what if that person would have been like, oh my goodness, I only have 3 months to live? Then you thinking that, right? And as a man thinketh, so is he. So if you think you gonna die, guess what? You might just. But if, I guess because she just took it in good spirits, it was like, oh well, right? And then what happened? Got to spend an additional 10 years with her loved ones. So I wanted to share that story so you don't fall into anticipatory grief. Take it one day at a time. And again, a diagnosis is not a death sentence. I really want to stress that because I want you to focus on the caretaking part. And a lot of things, let me tell y'all something. Love, when you love somebody, and you really sincerely love them and you take care of them, you cannot imagine the recovery time. The recovery process is so quick, So I'm telling you, can you be there for somebody? Can you be there? Can you be there? All right, so when one family member is being challenged, it affects the entire family. But I'm telling you, there's a shock by the children who now have to take the responsibility of a caretaker or a spouse for a spouse. There is a shocking experience. But I tell you, love covers for real. Because remember, trauma is suddenly. It does not say, hey, I will be coming through tomorrow if that will be good, if that'll be a good time for you. I just want to know. You free? Trauma. Nobody's prepared for trauma. So here's some tips, right? I don't like saying that, but here's some tips. If your parent has pre-existing conditions, it is important to have the conversation when they transition. Okay? I had a family member that came to me and had a diagnosis, and I immediately said to them, have you talked to so-and-so about your last wishes? And it may sound cruel, but it's real. Like, listen, you got to talk to somebody. You got to straighten that out. I had another friend who called me who's dealing with cancer, and the first thing I said was, did you tell your children? Or, are you preparing? Do you need some assistance? Because I'm that friend. I'll walk with you through it because someone helped me walk through it. So listen, we got to help each other. And it's a hard pill to swallow, but it has to get done because we're not doing GoFundMes. If you're part of my camp, we don't do GoFundMes. All right, just sharing. But most people, they just, you say death and they just get all weepy, or like they never heard it before, or they're afraid of the word death, they're afraid to die, they're unprepared, or no one's prepared them for the conversation, and we just got to talk about it. you know you go up to funerals, maybe have a discussion with your loved one after a funeral, because I tell everybody, a funeral is, that person is gone. Funerals is for the living. So after a funeral, maybe that will be a good time to bring up, hey, so when is my time? These are my expectations. So yeah, we have to stop acting like this is not gonna happen. All right, it's gonna happen. You can't be afraid to talk about it. And you live with your spouse or your parent or your loved one or your whoever it is. After a few hospital scares and poor health reports, yeah, it's time to sit down and talk. To those watching in your 30s, in your 20s, you're going to blink. You're going to be 60. I know you can't see it now. You thinking, that's so old. You are going to blink and, and you're going to be 60, okay? So my suggestion to you, here's a tip. Prepare with the life insurance policy today. I think at 45, so you still save some money, and then at 45, get yourself a policy. Matter of fact, I think you could get a policy any age, but y'all act like y'all don't think it can happen. So I'm just trying to tell you, get yourself a policy, call one of them 800 numbers, and get yourself helped out. They didn't have all of that when my mom was dying, and she told me, and this is why I can talk about it. I had to experience it. My mom was like, "Listen, don't spend a lot of money on a funeral. Put me in a box and put me in the ground." That's what she said. That's what she said. I don't want to be cremated. Put me in a box and put me in the ground. And I did just that. Put her in a box and I put her in the ground. I didn't spend a lot of money. I did what she asked me. And that was in my 20s. And, thinking back now, I was like, wow, okay. That just sounded like, ugh. And you know what? Now, guess what my request is? Don't spend a lot of money. Put me in a box. Put me in the ground. Some close friends and family. I don't need all of y'all snotting and crying over me. I ain't probably talked to half of y'all in I don't know, since not even during COVID. Ain't nobody check y'all. Ain't call, listen to me. So I don't need a whole lot of people coming. I don't need you looking. I feel like my dad. I don't need you looking at me, laying on my back in no casket, talking about, oh, no. My number has been the same since the 90s. I still have high school friends calling me, and college friends like, this is still your number? So, yeah, I feel that same way. Put me in the box, put me in the ground. No need, no all that crying. I ain't even there. All right, I know. And listen, I was almost gone. So allow me to just share my thoughts. All right. But I got to witness what the resurrection power is since we close to Easter. I know what the resurrection power is. I'm just here sharing. So here I is. And I think, we just gotta do what we gotta do, and grieve well. When I leave here, grieve well. And you know what I like? That I'll have this video. This video will be right here, and y'all be like, see how she was talking? Right? No, we gonna leave here one day. And the way things are going, boy, oh boy. Anyway, grief may make one suppress their emotions. And then what happens is your body will begin to show the signs of stress. The physiological stressors may be attached to your grieving, which will cause increase in your cortisol. So what is cortisol? Cortisol affects several aspects of your health. Cortisol helps regulate your body's response to stress. High cortisol levels may cause high blood pressure, inflammation when your joints are hurting, your knees popping and all of that. Weight gain because you're stress eating. Okay, now you're fat. You get fat, you gain weight. High blood sugar, which often turns to type 2 diabetes. And high cortisol disrupts your wake and sleep cycle. So when you go to the doctor, because I'm getting ready to help everybody out right now, and your doctor tells you, oh, you have type 2 diabetes, and you're like, wait, that don't run in my family. And it don't, and it may not. But guess why you have it? Why did you just get a diagnosis? Now, today's doctors are not patient friendly. It's all about the money. So they're not going to ask you, has there been a change in your life that may have caused you stress? Or are you in menopause? If a doctor asks you that, you got yourself a good doctor. So keep that doctor. And I know a good doctor from a bad doctor because I know this is what a good doctor will ask you. They won't just say, you got high blood pressure and you got diabetes and you got heart failure. They're not going to take the time to find out, has there been a change in your life? That's a good doctor. That's a good doctor. But they will give you a diagnosis and put you on some medication and be like, next. And that's the real. So if you know, my God, that you've been stressed out or that this traumatic experience you're dealing with has caused you to be stressful, your blood pressure is high, they diagnosing you as type 2 diabetes because your cortisol levels are out of whack, like your GABA could be out of whack. Watch the last video. These are things that cause the diagnosis. And I keep telling people, stress is the reason why we have all these diagnoses. Stress. This is why. Y'all see this? Y'all see me? See, I've been through a lot in my life. And so I refuse to be stressed. And you know what really has helped me? Is I'm not dealing with y'all and y'all don't know the Lord like I know the Lord, who has done good things for me, who has helped me, that I can sit here and share with y'all, and I'm not listening. I'm not listening. So I'm not going to be stressed out because of somebody else. Listen, if you want my help and advice, good. If you don't, good. That's all I'm saying. Like, look, I'm here to help. And that's the problem. People don't accept help. People don't respond to the information. People just want to do what they want to do. And, don't grieve. Get acceptance. All right. So, listen, make sure you have a good doctor. But my point is, if those are the diagnoses you have received, then do what I said earlier. Prep plans, light exercise, and eat right. This is what you gotta do. Go to the YMCA, join, swim, get in the pool, join a gym, play a sport, get a hobby to help you balance and get in harmony with your new situation. And, This is why I say you got to ask second and third level questions and try to remain in a state of positivity. Um, Definitely celebrate every small win. When I was finally able to walk up a flight of stairs, child, you'd have thought I won the lotto. That was a beautiful moment. And be hopeful, be prayerful, be mindful, fast and pray. Some things come through prayer and fasting. And make sure you give yourself pep talks, and conscious commands, especially when you hit a stumbling block. Get around true supporters and those who can encourage you through this time. You know, you got to clear the area, right? When I was in the hospital, my friends and my sister was like, we wasn't letting people in if they was on some old. Thank God, thank God. So yeah, get around some soldiers. And this is why people always say, I hate the church and I don't like the church. This is when you find out that you need a few church friends. Just sharing. And we need all the help we can have in 2026. And you have to make sure when you're a caretaker that you take mental health days. Everybody need a mental health day in 2026. So take a long bubble bath, take walks, again, light exercise, eat right, get sleep. Gotta get your sleep and rest. And again, I'm not here saying something I don't know about. I'm more here because I know about this. And it's like I said, it's not easy. And so what about for those who are aging? For those with aging parents, you're going to have to lean in on acceptance, as I said earlier, what is going on, and know that frustration is a normal response between the both of you. You're going to be mad at them, they're going to be mad at you. It happens. And I know someone is saying, what if I don't have children? Hopefully, you have a family member who may step in, or a good friend. Remember, that's why the Bible says you may have a friend closer than a brother, because he knows family can be iffy. That's just how it can be, you know. Now, what if you and what if you outlived everybody and there's no one? My suggestion is to join a group your age, or attend groups your age with maybe dealing with some of your pre-existing conditions. Remember, when you are dealing with this and you're solo and you don't have any help, remember, ask for a patient advocate. Your insurance covers that. I think it's free, so I don't know, but ask for one anyway. And think about, I know people got homes, and this is my favorite house, and this is my favorite apartment, and me and so, but you might have to think about moving into a living assisted housing community if you don't have a loved one, or you can't trust nobody, because y'all don't never trust nobody. That might be an option for you. So, I don't have children, so I have siblings, maybe one to take care of me. I got godchildren, I got a nephew, niece. I've asked my nephew and niece, if anything happened to me, take care of your auntie now, now I don't know, so however, just know this, I'm going to age like fine wine. Why? Because like I said, I'm not sitting here giving you all this golden good advice and not operating in it for my own self. So once acceptance sets in, you will be all right. When acceptance kick in, you will have the information you need. You will be able to meet the individual's need, whether they need a wheelchair, a walker, medication, etc. Today, again, there's so many resources, grants, and nonprofit organizations that are willing to help you, thank God. So use those resources, be it the children or the spouse or whoever, the close friend that's doing the caretaking. Use those resources. What we embarrassed about? Look, it is what it is. Like, help the person. So I hope people just return to having human compassion. And remember, seeking help is not a weakness. You got to seek help when you find yourself in situations. And, today they got AFLAC, AARP. There's so many resources. And let me tell you, therapy will be the one thing you sure enough gonna need to get through. So that's not something embarrassing. They will help you navigate your frustration and your emotional self, your emotional self. You up and down, up and down. Therapy will help because, like I said, when you hear those words, be it guardianship, or when you hear the words out your parents' mouth, I'm ready to go. And they start sharing their final requests, that can break you down, and you can't be breaking down all in front of them. When you're in this situation, you got to chuck that up. And like I said, maybe go to a local church for support, attend groups, because 30% of our population is aging alone. Okay? So if you have a neighbor who's elderly, kind of introduce yourself, ask them if they need some help them out. What happened to the people? What happened to community? I'm so glad I grew up in community environment. I just don't understand. I don't know how people do it, but hey, it's the world we live in. People, we got to take care of the widows and the orphans, right? All right. And to the church, to the pastors and the fivefold ministry, can we make sure we're taking care of our elderly? Because Congress seems to be doing a good job taking care of their elderly. I'm just saying, I be looking at them and they be looking like they falling off the chair and wobbling, and they just still be going in there trying to have conversations about how, I'm not going to say. And always check in with your parents, all right? Because like I said, it can happen gradually. It can happen suddenly. And so we want to kind of be on top of some things, again, especially if they have pre-existing conditions. We have to love one another and get rid of this foolishness and get with forgiveness, because once it's over, baby, it's over. And so we at least, before my mom died, she hit me really hard one day, and I felt like it was for no reason. And so I was like, this day was bothering me, because she was like, I'm leaving. So I was like, Mom, why did you hit me that hard? And such that. She started laughing and she said, I'm sorry. I felt so good. So there was nothing between us. She went home. I'm still here, and all is well. So if there's something you want to get off your chest, get it off your chest. Talk to them. Anybody, whoever it is. So you can have some forgiveness. Because grief comes too, because you're like, oh man, I didn't get to say. I wanted to say it. So I hope I shared something that may have helped somebody who was listening. And if you want to reach out to me, you can email me at safespacetalks@gmail.com. That's it, guys. I'm way over my time. If God says the same, I will see you next week. Same bat channel, same bad time. I love me some y'all.